Good evening. Susan, Wilkinson Cox, coming back to you on Tuesday. So for a little while, I'm now kind of blanking out a couple of days for all sorts of reasons, mainly because I had a bit of a meltdown. So I'll tell you about that in a minute. What I wanted to say to you is, although listening to Tuesday, we always do Tuesday, I either come on and talk about something, addiction, habits, whatever, or I will do things around tonight. We've got the amazing Christian Wright, who's going to talk some habits, like about all sorts of things, her journey and maybe her sexual issues, and habit releases.
But for me, I just wanted to say to you, I wasn't present a couple of weeks ago because I just felt, and I'm going to be honest with you, I'm going to be vulnerable with you, I'm going to show you who I am. I had a bit of a meltdown. I just felt that I was overwhelmed with everything. So give me, please, a hashtag replay. If you watch that replay, give me some love artists, give me a couple of comments, ask questions, if not to me, but certainly to Christine when she comes on, because if it's not you, you'll know somebody that her message will really kind of help. So for me, I had a bit of a meltdown. Why did I have a meltdown? Even in this lockdown, I had a barrage of information coming to me. I had requests. I had things that I committed to that I had to do every day. I had messages every day saying, do this, do that, commit to this, come on this. And it was really kind of contradicting. And I wasn't able to give you, my clients and everybody else, me, because I was being so distracted. They actually caused me distress, actually, to be honest. And I did get distressed. And I had to just, what did I do? I had to pull back. I went to see my dad. It's always good to see my dad, go home. And I just pulled back and I just stopped absolutely everything. And I apologized to my clients that I had to cancel. I apologized to you guys that I had to cancel Talk Tuesday. Hi, Lynn. Hi, Diana. Hi, Claire. Hi, Sue. Hi, Emma. Thanks for coming on board. So thank you, and everybody else. But yeah, I really just had to pull back. And I'm not going to lie to you. I'm going to be vulnerable because we are all vulnerable. And so what did I do to bring myself back? I just took a step back. It was as simple as that. I took a step back. I started to do things like my garden, even though I was doing them anyway, but enjoying it, not feeling rushed or pressured. I had to do this. I had to be on a 9 o'clock call, an 8 o'clock call, whatever. And I just enjoyed watching a movie. I enjoyed reading, pottering, walking, do all the things I normally do, but without the pressure. And I sought counsel from other peers. And I also started looking for people to help me. So if there's anybody that is out there that can help me as a particular skill, it could be a PA. It could be something, I don't know what I want really, but somebody that could offer something to help me in webs. I don't know. I'll come back to you a little bit more with that, but definitely. Hi, Sam. Great to see you here. So that's what I did. I pulled back. I also started to get back to basics. Hi, Alex. Love to see you. Hey, that's a nice surprise. But what I did do is I went back to basics. And when I say basics, I mean, I'm going to show you. I started to read books like this, Outwitting the Devil by Napoleon Hill, who wrote in 1938. He died in 1917. It was only published in 2011. So that tells you it was controversial then, definitely, and it's still controversial now, but it's a very interesting read. But this one, 3 Feet from Gold, which is also amazing. So this is by Sharon Letcher and a guy called Dr. Greg S. Reed. Brilliant. Get back to basics, get deep into it. It's not just about the superficial stuff. It's really deep and it really makes you think. So definitely. Books like The Secret, I've read that again. I've started my meditation journal, and that is only about meditation, and I have got my journal. So this is helping me so much to understand me, and I've just gone to a different level. And the reason I've gone to a different level is purely because I have stepped back and said, no more. Let me get back in touch with me. Hi, Polly. Hi, Facebook users. And that's what I've done. Because I forgot myself. I was so busy doing so much that I forgot. I forgot me, and I don't want to do that anymore. So, you know, if anything happens to you like that and you have a meltdown, I want to be honest with you, then just take a step back and go back to basics and just read the old stuff. The old stuff is always good. Hi, Lisa. Brilliant to have you all on board. Right. Anyway, I've talked about my books. I think I've covered everything I want to do. We've just got Christine Wright on tonight, who's going to talk to us. We'll have more updates coming, and there'll be certainly more Talk Tuesdays and more guests. But I'm just catching up with myself. I do appreciate you, and I want to say I love you all for all your messages. Thank you, Anna May, for all your messages of support. You know, when I was kind of having my bit of a meltdown, I had to pull away. But I'm back, and I feel great. Lovely. So anyway, I love you all. Right. Without further ado, I want to bring in Christine Wright. Christine Wright is a lady I met through a networking group. She's amazing. She's from Leeds. She has gone through a lot of adversity, from homelessness to a sexual assault, to the death of her father, to divorce, to debt, to liver disease, until she met what she calls her Earth Angel. And she then grew out of that and created a behavioral change program, which I'm not going to even pretend that I'm qualified to talk about, but certainly she's created Habit Breakers. She is a motivational speaker. She is an amazing woman, and she is going to tell you her story and share with us tonight. So let me tell you, please, if it is not for you, if it's for somebody that you know that may have a issue, a problem, and the habit breaker is not just about alcohol or drugs. It can be about many things, which I'm sure she will tell you all about. But any questions now or after, and afterwards, I will put all of Christine's details in the story so that you can contact her direct if you need to. So the beautiful, amazing, you know, strong woman, Christine, you know, welcome.
Thank you so much. Do you know what? I don't think I need to do anything because you've covered everything. All those books are amazing. Everything that you're doing is amazing in terms of the journaling and all things like that. And the secret, you saying going back to basics. When I'm going to put, I might say a few swear words. I'm so sorry. So when I say when the shit hits the fan, yeah, I always go back to the basic book of The Secret. And I've had that since, I think I've had that book 11 years now, 12 years. So it's really well leafed. Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, I've got all of Rhonda's books. There's even a teenager book as well, which I've purchased for my kids. So, yeah, that is what you said there is just superb, going back to basics. And that fundamentally is what I did as well throughout my whole turbulence and stuff like that. So, yeah.
Well, tell me, I mean, I know your story a little bit. I know a little bit about your story, and I certainly, you know, about your programs or some of your programs that you offer. Definitely, I've obviously looked at those and researched. It's amazing. But just in brief, for everybody here, everybody has a story, and everybody gets to where they had to. So you're a motivational speaker. You are an entrepreneur, and you're the entrepreneur and the founder of Habit Breakers. So in brief, I know I've said my little bit, and I know we're not here all now, but tell me a little bit about you've faced adversity, you've had hard times. You know, what got you to where you are today? What was it? What all those things? But tell us a little bit about them.
I think fundamentally it was my journey. My journey is alcohol. I became a functioning alcoholic. And that really, I used alcohol as a coping mechanism. And that started at 14 years old for me. So I was at really, really young, vulnerable age of when I actually started to self-medicate with alcohol. And that was the process. That was the start. The starting point was my mum and dad's divorce. It was really, really bitter. I had so much guilt and a little bit of an abandonment about the whole divorce process because my mum actually left the family home and kept myself and my sister stayed with my father in the family home. So there's that element of abandonment. And then my dad was a very, very strict, true Yorkshire man. He was, he was very strict. He was very proud. And because I wasn't coping well, I was sneaking out drinking, and he actually caught me, or I got found out, so to speak, and I lied. So he gave me the ultimatum. You either stay in my house and live by my rules, or you bugger off. So I literally did go to Mum's house, but she had a partner at the time, and we didn't see eye to eye. I was quite a troubled teenager. So I was 14 at this time, and then by the age of 15, both Mum and I got kicked out of her partner's house. So we were literally homeless. We were in and out of homeless units, bed and breakfast. I was staying at friends' houses. And that ultimately, when we ended up in the homeless units, I saw a whole host of different things, shall we say. There was alcohol, there was drugs, there was prostitution. And again, still being that very vulnerable teenager, which meant I just drank more and more and more to cope. Fortunately, I had a good support network at school, and they let me in, and I passed all my exams, went away to college. And I'm going to put a trigger warning in here, because I do speak of sexual assault and rape. And when I was 17, I was actually sexually assaulted. I didn't report it. I only reported it last year, because I thought, well, who's going to believe, Christine? She's the piss head. She's, so there was a lot of inner turmoil. And I spoke to certain people about it, and they still didn't do anything about it. So therefore, I thought, well, if I can't even tell my nearest and dearest and they don't do anything, the police are surely not going to, they're not going to believe me. So I carried that up until last year, when I did a lot of my own self-development. But it wasn't all doom and gloom, though. I'm glad to say, I got over that. So I went to university.
Yeah, but can I stop you there a minute? I want to just say, I want to acknowledge your strength, your resilience in being able to be here today and actually share that story, because what you're saying, your story is huge. And I know that a lot of people are going through similar things. I know in my household, I had a stepfather that was definitely an alcoholic. It was a wife beater, definitely. My uncle died of alcoholism. Me died of liver cirrhosis. And so it goes on. So, and then I know with that there comes the abuse. And I know too well on it firsthand. So I'm with you. So what I want to say to you is I want everybody here listening and on replay to just really acknowledge this and pause for a minute and say how amazing you are to be able to get to that point to say this, because I know, and that there is a lot of people that are not ready or may never be ready to be able to share the words that you've shared with us today.
Absolutely, 100%. And believe you me, it took a huge amount of healing. And, the biggest thing that throughout the whole of my journey and my story, because, it's packed, the biggest thing I had to do was learn the art of forgiveness. And that's forgiveness for me, for myself. Okay, you weren't born this way. These things didn't happen to you because it was you. These things happened, and you learn to deal with it. You have to deal with it. If someone said to me, Christine, do you live a life of regret? Is there anything that you would change, any aspect of it? 100% hand on heart, I would say no, because I would not be the woman I am today. I would not be that role model for my children I am today. And I truly believe, again, we'll speak about this later on, about my earth angel. I was destined, that I do believe there was a little bit of destiny, and this is my life purpose. And I potentially did have to go through these, but it wasn't until I had that healing and that awakening. It's not your fault. Just because you drank, it's not your fault. have I learned to forgive the gent? I'm not even going to call him a gent. That's have I learned to forgive the man that did this to me? Yes, I have. But the biggest thing I had to forgive is the people around me who didn't give me the support that I needed at the time. That was my real stumbling block. And that was apparent last year in all my healing, in my crying, in my sounding, in everything. So I do believe, you know, first and foremost, forgiveness. You might be in a situation right now where you think, how the hell can you forgive somebody that behaves like that? Or why should I feel like I've got to forgive myself because I've done nothing wrong? I'm just the victim. And I think it's get out of that victim modality and mentality, which will then help catapult you, because you really do catapult when you do learn the art of forgiveness and be gentle on yourself.
But the forgiveness, and correct me if I'm wrong here, forgiveness is not about the other person, it's about you.
It's a self, forgiveness with self. Yeah.
You forgive them because you're carrying the pain of them, and you forgive them and you can set them free and yourself free. Yeah, do you agree with that?
100%. And that's what I learned. I learned what was happening in their life. Why did they behave the way they behaved? So I kind of had an introductory of, okay, looking into their life, which made me give an even better understanding of why they behaved the way they did with me. So yeah, but it really does stem with forgiveness to self. And you know, once you master that, everything in life just seems to just ebb away. It's just like, whoa, it's not really as crazy. You know, this crazy shit isn't that crazy anymore. I only make it crazy because I'm making it crazy. So it really is art of forgiveness, 100%. So, yeah.
Definitely, and I'm going to take my hat off to you, and I think it is difficult. And a lot of people, when they're angry or they're mad or they're trying to barter or they're in denial, it is hard for them to get there. But it is a journey, and ultimately, we all, me included, you know, had to give forgiveness of my abuser. The things happened to me too. You know, you've got to say, well, hold on, let me forgive, because once I forgive, I set myself free, and I can absolutely fly. You know, I think pardon me, I think that, you know, I think this is a journey that it's a very personal journey. And I always say, from the things that I've gone through, which we could be here forever, that's another day. But the point is, like you've just said, I'm 1000% with you when you said, I would not change anything because I would not be the person I am. I would not be the mother that I could possibly be today to my girls without that journey.
I think my boys would go, but Mum, I'd change this about you. They'd be the first in a list of 10 things, right? We need to change this, this, and this. But that's kids. That's boys.
We're doing exactly what my mum used to say and my mum used to do. And I think you should do this, so it'll all repeat itself.
Absolutely, absolutely. But you know, it's a bitter pill to swallow sometimes as well. You know, but trust me, once you get rid of that toxicity in because it shows itself in so many different ways, through illness, through stressors, through, you know, mind games even, and also again, going to habits, it shows itself in your habits. So with me, it was like, let's drink. I'm just going to drink. I'm going to block it out. I just kept going round this perpetual cycle of going round. Oh God, here we are again. This is how I deal with this. I drink. Okay, drink, get absolutely sozzled. I make bad judgments and bad choices. Oh, that's a bad choice. So hey, I'll drink. And again, it's just a cycle of behaviors that needed to be broken. And once you can break that cycle with the art of forgiveness, so many more doors, avenues, anything like that does open up. If somebody would have said to me last year or maybe 2 years ago, Susan, you will stop what you're doing in business, because I had a very successful event floristry business, which took me internationally, took me all over the world. I worked on TV shows, I worked on dramas, I did flowers for, celebrities. And if somebody would have said to me 2 years ago, Christine, you are going to stop what you're doing and do what I'm doing now, I'd have laughed in their face. I'd have gone, you're having a laugh. I've wanted to do flowers since I was a little girl, I always thought that was my life purpose. And it was, because that also was part of my healing. So, again, it's amazing how many doors open and how many doors close.
Yeah.
Who's to say what I'm going to be doing in 2 years' time? Who's to be saying what these people watching are going to be doing in 2 years' time? And how positively different, because it's a positive. You're here to learn. You're here to learn. You're not here to just be nosy. You're here to think, okay, what are these two women talking about? And am I going to get some nuggets of gold? So you're here for your own self-development. So that in itself is an absolute beautiful thing and should be praised and should be grateful for.
And also, what I want to add to that is I want to remind everybody, this is not just about alcohol.
No.
There can be so many other different habits that you can have. Then, it could be gambling, it could be sex, it could be just food, it could be a whole host of things, maybe even over-exercising, for example. So, what Christine has just said is a golden nugget is absolutely 100%. So don't think about it, please, in the smallest sense. Think about it in the broadest sense, and how you can reach this out and send it out to the rest of the world or the people around you, because it's not just about you. I know all the people that are listening tonight and the people that listen replay, and I know that you are very spiritual, you are a very centered people, and you can share this message as well. So even if you just draw them back to here and to Christine and to these details, that would be amazing. But definitely. But tell us, Christine, you've been through all of that adversity. And a lot of people, and we both probably know people that have given up or continued on that life path. You haven't. You're an amazing, beautiful woman. Tell us what came out of that amazing, I'm saying journey, but journey so far. And how did it happen?
Sorry?
And how did it happen?
I think, obviously, so like I said, it wasn't all doom and gloom. I met my husband. I went away to live in Cyprus. Went away with uni, came back. I was there for a year, met my husband. And I always vowed, because mum and dad's divorce was so terrible, that I'd never get married. Not for me. Don't want children, don't want to get married. And within 6 weeks of meeting my husband, he asked me to get married. And I said yes. Now, my friends were like, what the hell are you doing? You are the one that is like, I was the one who would be like, no, I'm traveling, I'm doing this. So I had a great period of my life, the picket fence, 2 boys. And he really built up my confidence. And, I'm forever grateful to my husband. But then there was the curveball that I actually found out that he did cheat on me. It was his little bit of fun. Now, this is where I really did spiral out of control, because I'd given my all to this chap. I was the one saying, I don't want to get married. But yet I'd opened my heart and soul to him, and I found this out. Now, this is where, again, it gets really quite deep. I went into the spiral of drinking. I tried to end my life at that point. I was 29, I think, or 30. It was 11 years ago. So I'm lying. I was older. I was 33. Yeah, 33. It's like, wow, it's all this maths. I don't do maths, Susan.
I don't.
So I was 33 at the time, and the only thing that really brought me back from that was my business, and letting my brides down, but also my children. But I did try and end it at that point, and my friend came and sorted me out and everything else. I stayed with her a few days. And at that point, I also realised that I was pregnant, and I lost the baby. At that 33, I lost a baby too. And I just thought, right, okay, this shit is really hitting the fan now. My husband doesn't want to be with me. I've lost all respect for him, but I think he lost all respect for me because of what I tried to do. There was a lot of outside influences saying that I just needed to buckle up and get on with my life. I'm a mum, I've got 2 boys to support, and my mental health was very much pushed to the back. But I always suffered, and I always struggled. So I actually left the family home, got the boys. I thought, I'm not repeating the habit of what mum did. They're coming with me. You can have the house. You can do whatever you wish. You are not taking my boys. So we built up a foundation then of just the 3 of us. And again, I was still working quite poorly at this point because I was in self-destruct mode. It was 2 bottles of wine a night to put myself to sleep. And I was the one that would be in the Tesco's, looking at the yellow sticker aisle, what's cheap, and buying the foods that were going out of date so that I could spend the money on the wine. I'd also do the meal deal, meal deal for 2, but you get a bottle of wine. So the boys would be fed and I got my wine. And I was functioning like that for a long time. And then that's when I went to the doctors to find out about, look, I need something to help me sleep. I'm not sleeping. I need to sleep because I'm drinking 2 bottles of wine. I wasn't going with a problem. My problem was I wasn't sleeping. My problem wasn't I was drinking too much. And he was like, Christine, you're drinking how much? And I was like, well, 2 bottles of wine. And that's when my liver function, I had to go for tests. And that's when my liver function tests came back and they were abnormal. And then I was diagnosed with this liver disease, which is called PBC. And it's predominantly in the female gene. And the age range normally is between 45 and 55. So it's often misdiagnosed for menopause and depression because the symptoms are very similar. But here I was at 34 years old being diagnosed with this disease, like 10 years earlier than what every bugger else seemed to be getting. I'm like, whoa, what the heck? So I had to go underneath a specialist. Of course, I didn't listen to them. I listened to him for a year. But I was going back to one of your conversations last week about fear. My biggest fear was, okay, they're telling me I need to stop drinking. I didn't know who I would be if I stopped drinking because I'd been that person since 14 years old who's always drank. And I was absolutely petrified. I tried it for a year, didn't like it. And I thought, bollocks to that, I'm going back to drinking. I'm going back to what I know. And that's what I did. And, I thought I'd do all the self-healing things, again, reading The Secret. I can self-heal. I've read that lady self-healed. She had cancer. But of course, I was reading it, but I wasn't feeling it. I wasn't going through the whole systematic process of you have to really feel and visualize this in order to help self-heal. So I just carried on. And again, getting into bad cycles of relationships, getting into debts. And it wasn't really until last year that when I met my earth angel, and I say he's my earth angel. People say to me, but Christine, you were his angel, because I met Danny on the other side of a safeguard rail over a bridge on a motorway, and he was ready to jump. And I drove past him at first, and I thought, by this point, he was over my side of the railing. And I thought, God, he looks a little bit sus. And then it just hit me. I was like, oh my gosh, he's going to jump. So I had to turn round. And I just literally launched myself out of the car. By this point, he was the other side of the bridge railing. And I hugged him. And I just pulled him back. Fortunately, it went the right way. And I cradled him for half an hour. I listened to his story. I was absolutely heartbroken. So he was sobbing in my arms. I was covered in snot, in tears. I was covered in, my eyes were full of tears. And, you know, he was an alcoholic. And I thought, I just sat and I listened to him, his story of grief, his story of being the black sheep of the family, not being recognised in his family. He'd just split up from his relationship. So he had a lot of issues. And everyone he was saying, I was going, shit, that's me. Shit, that's me. Oh, God, it's me as well. And I could relate everything. And obviously the police service came. The police came because somebody had called. And that's the other really scary thing, Susan. We were literally cradling and nobody stopped. It was a busy road. Nobody stopped. And then somehow the police service was called. But I was like, oh my gosh. And it is so true. When you are in the deepest depths of despair, you feel invisible. You feel invisible and you feel like nobody gives a shit about you. And whilst I was cradling him, I just thought, nobody's stopping. Nobody is stopping for this man. What would have happened if I hadn't have stopped? That really sent shivers down my spine. So, of course, I came home after I knew Danny would be okay with the emergency services. And I poured myself the biggest glass of wine or gin. I can't remember what it was, actually. And I went to bed with a glass, because that's the other thing I used to do. I used to take a glass of wine to bed. I never used to drink it in the morning if it was still there, but I always used to take a glass of wine to bed. And I took this glass to bed and I just thought, you're losing control. You really, really need to do something now. This is a wake-up call for you. You have just witnessed could have witnessed what could have been a massive tragedy. That could be you if you carry on, because it just takes that switch to just flip you. And I thought, I've already been there once when I was 33. Mm-hmm. You know, I had this feeling of, and at this point, I'd just lost my father as well. So my dad, this was in the January, and I'd lost my father in the September 2018. And I'd gone through a really bad relationship, a very narcissistic relationship as well. So I was spiraling out of control, and I just thought, you need to sort your shit out, girl. You really, really do. And from that moment on, then that was it. There was no alcohol in the house. I thought, right, I have to do something. I'd just buried my friend to suicide as well. So I buried a family friend to suicide, who I'd not known for such a long time, and his family reached out to me because I did flowers. I actually thought he was getting married, and then my friend said, Christine, no, he passed away. He hung himself. And I was like, oh God. So all these signs are coming to me, and I just thought, right, you need to sort your shit out, girl. You need to help other people get through this. That's really what I did. I started a reframing process, and that's really what Habit Breakers is about. It's about the reframing. Why is it what you do? What can you do differently? And I've got, it's.
I love it. I mean, I love the reframing what you said, but there's something I wanted to ask before. I thought I wrote it down, and I can't remember if I wrote it down before now. What I wanted to say, that's what I wanted to say is, I'll come back to reframing, but I want to go back a bit, because what you're saying is, and by the way, that's lime and soda she's drinking.
Lime and soda.
And that's what I love to drink, lime and soda, actually. And my friend Lou, lime and soda. But anyway, But what I want to say is what I wanted to mention here, which I think is really, really important, because while we don't do the same work, we do similar work, is you mentioned before the triggers. You said the triggers of my mum and dad's divorce. So what I wanted to highlight here is that everybody out there that's listening, or beyond that, they're talking to their friends, their family, whoever it happens to be, so a stranger, there are triggers in our life. I sometimes call them stresses in mindfulness, otherwise I call them triggers. And it's what is it that's triggered you? And sometimes we forget the triggers, we bury them, and through therapy, hypnosis, your program, whatever, we then realize what has triggered us to create the behavior or act in that behavior that we have. So all I wanted to just say is remember the triggers, or try and think about the triggers. When did what happened to you start, and what was the event around it? Secondly, and I wanted to also say, so think about that in the biggest picture for everybody. I think that's powerful. The other thing is that I want to say, you said reframing. I love that word. That is one of my words I use in my therapy with everybody. Do you say reframing or do you say framing? Reframing. So tell me about that.
That is actually that. So we do workshops on reframing, and that is actually what we do. So reframing is, I always get this word wrong, and it's an anagram. So reframing would be realization. So, okay, what is your trigger point? What is it that you want to do? Why is it you do it? So what you do. Then it's envisage. So envisage your life without that. Envisage what you can achieve without that. So it's the art of visualization as well. And then have fun. Part of our program is all about having fun. So you're trying to take away the negative habit, but you're reinforcing it with a positive habit.
Yep.
It says to develop a new habit, it can take up to 2 months to develop a new habit. Well, it actually says 66 days by Philippa Lally. She did some research. It says 66 days. So it really does take 2 months to develop a habit. So it's have fun whilst developing that. Then it's the relaxation element. Again, we're very spiritual here at Habit Breaker. I've believed in angels all my life, and I speak to my angels daily. I have my archangel cards that I pull every morning, and I set my intention on them every night before I sleep. So again, it's relaxation. So a lot of meditation, a lot of meditative states, but most importantly, action. Yep. So again, it takes up to 2 months to develop a habit. So you have to act on this daily, even if it's a small thing, even if it's, I'm here drinking lime and soda, even if it's just changing that, do you know what? I'm not going to have the 3 glasses of wine tonight. I'm going to have 2 glasses and 1 lime and soda.
Yeah.
I'm going to have it in a wine glass.
Yeah.
So I'm having a glass of wine. That's why my lime and soda is in a gin glass, because it looks like I'm drinking gin. It's a bit mental, it's a placebo effect. I'll talk to you something about that after this placebo. And then obviously that's the action. Then there's a mindfulness element to it. So you've got to be really mindful and do mindfulness techniques. Then we also move on to the inspiration. What dreams? So again, this is linked into the envisagement part of reframing. Yeah. It's inspiration. Okay, so what inspiration do you look out at? What is it you want to achieve? What are your dreams? How do you see your life in such different aspects? And then, because a lot of, particularly with me, when I found out I had liver disease, and again, I'd say only last year, but even more so this past, I'd say, month, I've really honed in on nutrition. So that's N, the nutritional element. How can I feed my liver? How can I make it healthy? Likewise, if your unhealthy habit is foods, how can you make it healthier? So we go through nutrition. And then finally, it's grace and gratitude. Always being grateful, no matter, even if the shit's hitting the fan, be grateful for it because you've learned from it.
Yeah.
You know, even if it's something amazing, like you've secured the biggest contract, be grateful for it. Put it out there to the universe and say, do you know what? That's amazing. Because with you speaking out, the universe is listening, or your God, or your, you know, whatever remit that you pray to, or whatever person you pray to,
yeah,
listening. And that really is our reframing structure. And that is what we make up our whole programs about.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think what you're doing is absolutely amazing. I think it's the structure. I think people need structure. I think people need to be heard. So you need to be heard. I think people need to be guided because people can't do it on their own.
Yeah.
I think they need the programs, definitely.
And I think that's the biggest thing for me. Our core values are freedom, health, and community. So that's freedom from whatever habit it may be. It also could be financial freedom. It could be freedom from the negative spaces that you're in, you know, relationships or whatever. The health aspect is once you start implementing any of these formats, it doesn't necessarily, you don't need them all, but if you start implementing even one or two, your health is going to improve, your mental health is going to improve, which has a dynamic in your household, it has a dynamic in your workplace, it has, you know, it just,
there's a ripple effect to everybody.
Absolutely. And then obviously the community, it was really big for me because I know that last year when I again went to the doctors with my drinking, you know, so I really stopped drinking was so Danny was the 29th of January. So I really stopped drinking in the 29th of January. I slipped a little bit in October, November, which I thought, I can just have one glass of wine. And I did. That's what I had, like a bottle of wine in the fridge for a week. Now that's unheard of. But then I started getting into that process of, oh, well, I'm okay. But then it would go to 2 glasses of wine. And I thought, enough is enough. I cannot touch it. I don't want to. I'm meant to be an advocate of not drinking. So again, being vulnerable, I shared it with my people, you know, if you drink, don't beat yourself up over it. Do not beat yourself up over it. Just get on the horse again and just start again. And, you know, it's about taking that shame away. And that's what I really wanted to build within Habit Breakers in the community, taking the stigma and the judgment away. Because when I did go to the doctors after the Danny incident and said, look, I was actually called back for my bloods because of my liver. And she says, are you still drinking? And I went, proud as punch, no, don't drink. And she must have sat there and gone, you're talking out of your ass, because that's what everybody says when they come into the doctors. And I sat there and I said, I don't drink. I haven't drank since January. I've implemented programs. I've been away to Bali to start up my business and retreats. And she was absolutely gobsmacked. And she went, okay, I'll take your word for it. I believe you. But it was the judgment of being in that room there and then. She was like, yeah. I went, no, seriously, I don't drink. She went, how can you stop drinking just like that? I said, because I use my mindset. I said, it was all in my mindset. I said, and I wanted the end result. I saw an end result. So it's all about the visualization for me. Me being able to sit here and talk confidently. I don't have no qualifications around this. And again, going back to the fear.
I want to stop you there. No, I want to stop you actually. Because people think that this world has been bred on, we have to have a PhD, we have to have a qualification, we have to have all these things. But the bottom line is we have to have life experiences because that makes us qualified to talk about what we need to talk about. It's when somebody says, well, I'm going to jump on what Christine said. I've never drank a drink in my life. I've never done this, but I want to teach this Habit Breakers course. No, they're not qualified. All they can do is teach what you tell them by word of mouth, but they don't feel it. They don't have it at the deepest heart center, so they can't convey it in the same way that you convey it, and it doesn't touch the people like you will touch the people.
Yeah. Which is, again, that's one of my fears. So this is one of these. This is a constant battle with me. Right? Okay, you've got over so much. You've got over so much tragedy, or
Adversity.
Yeah, and that's how I work my way back in. You've been drinking since you were 14 years old, girl. You know the pitfalls, the peaks and troughs, how excruciating it is when you want that drink but no, you can't have it. So that is my clawback. That is, but again, it's going back to fear. It's fear based, and you just think get over that.
Fear is a thought, you see. We can allow this fear thought, as we teach in mindfulness. I teach mindfulness is like it grows like that big black dog. It grows, we get involved in the story, and then the story becomes bigger than ours, and it surrounds us. And what we're going to remember is saying, oh, it's almost like being drowned. Then you come back and actually, you know what? I can do this. Because you are an advocate of everything that you're talking about. You've experienced it, you've lived it, you've breathed it, you know it. So why would there be anything else, anybody else? A professor with a degree or a PhD or whatever he's got or she has got would never, ever be able to deliver what you are delivering to us tonight, because they have never had the experience.
So that just shows that, I'm human. I'm human. And, and again, this is a good learning point, I think, for the people watching or if they're catching up on replay. Even people who seem to have their shit together don't always have their shit together. They're also learning and they're also developing. My development is continuous. My morning routine, good God, I could have driven to Manchester and back. with my morning routine, it's getting up, and gratitude is the first thing that I do. Gratitude. Then I'll go get my water with lemon to detoxify everything. And again, it's like, if somebody would have said that to me, I'd have been bullshit. It tastes like it's horrible. I am not drinking that. It's training the brain. It's training the mind. It's not as bad as what you think, Christine. You first started drinking lime and soda and you thought that was shit because it wasn't wine or it wasn't Henderson's gin. And it literally is. It's training your brain and going through these processes. So 66 days, of doing, it becomes habitual. So, it is the gratitude. It is my water.
But the habit is a positive habit.
Massively.
Replacing that with the drink, the habit, the whatever it is, with positive habit, it's reframing it. Definitely.
Yeah, whereas I'd be pressing the snooze button. I ain't getting up yet. Or I'd be the one putting my makeup on in the car, going to the flower market, getting there late. Well, I'm saying late, it's still early. But yeah, getting there late, but they're going...
I have a question. I want to ask somebody. I want you to tell us then about Habit Breakers in a minute and about what they offer and the programs and some things. And finally, I want to say to you is, what words of inspiration would you say? That's the last thing I want to say. But in the meantime, anybody out there that's got some questions, please ask your questions now. And I know we've got one here from Emma. What would you say to your 14-year-old self now? Now that you have knowledge and experience of what is the one piece of advice? So I guess that's probably, you've jumped the gun, Emma. Thank you. I was asking that at the end, but she's saying the 14-year-old self. Well, what would that answer that question be?
It's interesting that you put 14-year-old self, because that's when all my destruction started. I would probably say
what I'm saying actually here, Christine, because I think there is a lot of 14-year-olds out there that and 13-year-olds and maybe younger and older that are in distress, and this is what they turn to because this is what they think their life is about because of similar circumstances. So I guess if this ever happens to reach a 14-year-old or a teenager that is embroiled in this sort of thing, and I kind of understand this because I've had experience of it with other people, but what might you say?
I would say probably my biggest thing would be however big the problem you may have at 14-year-old, as a 14-year-old, it isn't really that big in the grand scheme of things. And rather than try and tackle it on your own, ask for help. If it's, again, you know, whether or not that could be your exams, your studies, you've got a friend who's been bullied or whatever, and you don't know how to cope with that, or if you're in a group of friends who have started to drink or whatever, just really reach out to somebody and say, I'm struggling. Like, I should have reached out to, I had I forgot what they call them, not a counsellor at 14, a social worker at 14. And that was given to me by the court of law. And I was lying. I was lying to this person because I didn't want to upset my mum and dad. And it's like, find somebody that you can trust and tell them and speak to them honestly and openly. So don't deal with your shit on your own. You know, there's so many people out there. It could be a teacher, it could be a parent of one of your friends. Find somebody who you can trust and say, I'm struggling. You won't be doubted. You won't be judged. A classic example, my son came to me 2 months ago. One of his friends had committed suicide, unfortunately, 2 months ago. And he came down to me and he went, Mum, I don't know how I should be feeling. I don't know what I need to be doing or saying. And I just embraced him and I went, I am so proud of you for coming to me and speaking to me openly like this, because it means that we've got that connection. It means that he feels comfortable enough in saying, I can't cope. I don't know what to do. And I think if there's a 14-year-old, find somebody who you can speak to, because your problem really isn't that big in the grand scheme of things.
But also there is other associations that they can, as young people, can you know, even if it's just putting a card in their room, in their coat pocket, they can, you know, get to somebody that's more dealing with those teenagers. So that
I wish I'd have spoken to somebody, because I wouldn't have gone down the catastrophic route of, you know, the alcohol route.
Definitely.
So again, that's what I would say to my 14-year-old self. Now, in answer to your question of what's the biggest takeaway you could give somebody, that would be learn the art of forgiveness. Learn how to be a little bit softer on yourself. Don't beat yourself up too much. And, you know, put things into practice, whether or not that's meditation, mindfulness. Just, it sounds woo-woo, and my friends think I'm batshit crazy. And, you know, when I say I'm off grounding, I'm off to go stand in that stream over there, they'll be like, it's raining. Even better, you know. Absolutely. Are you coming to join me? They're like, no.
Yeah.
So I do think learning the art of forgiveness on just the smallest of things as well. That really was my catapult. Yeah.
So tell us, I'm going to put in here all your details that I've got here. Christine at Habit Relations, Christine at habitbreakers.org, Christine www.habitbreaker.org. And I want to just briefly hit on, just tell us about, because I know I've got a bit of hearing. You do programs. So I know you do a 5-day, I think you do a 30, you do a 90-day. I don't know, I'm not quite, I can't remember.
So I do a free 5-day habit breaker program. And that's at habitbreaker.org/free. I'll put it all in the comments. So I'll put everything in the comments once this is finished. And then, so we do the free 5-day challenge. We do a 30-day program, which is emails every day, tips, things like that. 90 days is the same. We do a yearly program as well, but we also do workshops and we do retreats as well. So I'm just looking into retreats as well. So doing a retreat where it's non-alcoholic and, you know, things like that. So there's so much. I'm just trying to think. I can't see my mind map.
Let me see if I can help you, because I had it up before and I've probably moved it now, but I had some of the things you had because I was researching. Let me have a look. I have it.
You were researching.
So what I had when it came up here was, if you can still see me because I'm on a different page, but that's okay. So I've got coming up here in your lovely picture, and then I've got the 1-to-1 12-day beginners program. We've got that's a big one. We've got the Habit Breakers Social Society Weekly Walk, which is free, which is lovely. Habit Breakers, a tracker and user guide, 365-day new beginning program, 90-day new beginning program, 28-day new beginning program, and 5-day kickstart program. And anything else you want to add to that huge repertoire?
Really, we're in the process of doing journals as well. So we're doing journals for each of the programs. I'm saying in the process. The process is there.
Yes.
It just needs to be. So we're doing that. Obviously, there's the retreats that I spoke about, and my website. Like I said, the website. I don't know if I think it's come down because I wanted a brand new website. So I'm in the process of doing my videos for that and my photo shoot and my content for that as well. So I'm hoping that will be up and running within the next 6 weeks. It's just a matter of me getting my arse into gear and going, yes, I could do this. So yeah.
If you put into here, then you comment that when your website comes up, if it's different, then come back and visit it and put it in here, because it'll still be live. The people will still be contactable. There'll be a lot of people on replay. And I just want to say, truly inspirational. Thank you for really humble. I feel humbled that you've allowed me to kind of interview, if you like, or share your experience on this platform with my clients, my friends, and even some people I don't know intimately. But, you know, and thank you for you to opening up and allowing yourself to be exposed and being vulnerable, because it's a massive feat. And, you know, anything I can do or that I can do to kind of enable or help or whatever in any way, I'm always open to that. But this for me has been absolutely, truly amazing and engaging. And I resonate with everything you say on a personal level and definitely on a business level. So thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you for everyone watching. And I think the thing here is, you know, we are resilient humans. We are resilient and we can get through so much. So don't feel if you're at rock bottom, there's no way out. There is a way out. Yeah. It's just finding the key aspects and the people around you to help you.
Yeah, exactly.
Thank you so much, darling.
Thank you. So just kind of stay and wait for me for a minute, and I just kind of close tonight. But thank you.
I'll sit here and drink my lemon soda.
I drink the lemon soda. Okay, hi guys. So thank you very much for tuning in. Great audience tonight, great participation, great comments. I know that there will be more to come, and I will pass them on to Christine, or her details will be below, where you can actually definitely contact yourself. You don't have to come through me, not at all. Or if it's not for you, or you've not got no questions for her, then please, you know, pass them on to other people that may benefit from her service, because she's a true living proof of how, you know, a life can be changed and saved. So to all of you, I'm back. I love you. Thank you very much for tuning in tonight. Anything you want to ask me, say to me, or you've got any queries, or you want to book an appointment with me, you know my details. You know where I am. Just kind of, you know, hit me up. I love you lots, and I thank you very much. And you'll hear from me tomorrow. Take care. Thank you.